Okay, here we go. Mastermind with Neil Schwartz and our special guest, Nancy Deprez. Help me welcome Nancy. Unmute yourselves. Let's go. Let's do this. Good stuff.
Good morning, Nancy. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Yay, Nancy.
Hi, everyone.
Good stuff. Good job. Good job. They finally gave me a soundboard, but I don't know what to do with it. Okay. All right. Okay. So Nancy, fabulous year. Good job. Actually, a little bit bumpy in the first quarter, as I remember, of 2021, correct?
Yes, I believe the first quarter was a little slow.
Little bumpy there, but you ended up with a phenomenal job at the end of 2021 and started out 2022 very, very strong. Really, really. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about where you started in real estate, how many years ago, what areas you service, just a little bit of that for us, please.
Sure. So thank you, Neil, for having me on. And a little background about me, I started real estate in July of 2011. So about 11 years ago. And I have been in the business, so that 11 years. And then prior to that, I came from a sales background, but when I got into real estate, I really just enjoyed the autonomy and just being able to do all the business that I could do.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. You came from actually the first part of your work was in hospital with nutrition, I believe, right?
Right. So yeah, years ago, what I studied at university was I had a bachelor degree in science, and I was a dietitian for about 10 years. And after that, I got an MBA, and I wanted to go into marketing, sales, and I went into the wine business. Spent 7 years there, really enjoyed it, learned a lot, and discovered that I really enjoyed sales and could talk to people and put connections and connect people and products together. And then went into real estate and, been in it since. Don't think I'll do anything else.
Well, you're doing a terrific job with it. That's really great. In the beginning, when you started working as a dietitian, about what kind of money did dietitians earn at that time?
Let's see. I started probably at about $50,000 a year.
Okay.
And then 8-10 years later, I was kind of making about 85,000. I also kind of at some point taught part-time in the evenings up at Cal State Northridge.
Very interesting.
So I was teaching several classes in dietetics, and so that was interesting and added to my income. I also wrote some articles for Competitor magazine, some articles on sports nutrition, things like that.
Right. Okay, yeah. Great. And so probably altogether, maybe $100,000?
Yeah, no, as a dietitian, I never made over $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but you wanted more. You were looking for more of a challenge, going into different field, and use some of your marketing skills that you had learned in school. And
right.
I mean, how do you get a job selling wine? That sounds like a really cool job.
Well, since I've been 15 years old, I have knocked on doors, meaning really? That's how I got jobs. So some of my earliest jobs at the age of 15, I walked into a bakery and I said, hey, are you looking for anybody? I walked into restaurants and said, hey, are you looking for anybody? And if you go to enough restaurants or bakeries, you'll find somebody that says, are you available today at 3? And that's how I got many jobs when I was younger. And I did the same thing when I came to the US. I'm originally from Canada. I called a lot of places when I wanted to work as a dietitian down here in Los Angeles. I wasn't really able to get anything, so I got in my car and drove down to LA, and I walked into a bunch of hospitals. I walked into Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and said, hey, are you hiring? HR said, no, I don't think we have anything. But I talked to some dietitians and they said, yeah, we need dietitians. I got my job that way. So where was I? How did I get into the wine business? I walked into a wine store, a large wine retailer in my area, and asked for a job. And they didn't call me back, so I kept following up. And eventually before Christmas, they needed people. So I was able to start and learned everything I could from that. So
fantastic.
Knocking on doors and follow up, it works.
Knocking on doors and follow up.
Yep.
And in other businesses and in real estate, you can really make, so in the wine business, what kind of money did you make?
I was making around 50, 60, something like that per year.
Okay.
On
All right.
commission only, yeah.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
you were making actually less in that business than you were as a dietitian, but you like this better? Like the wine business better?
Yeah, I probably at that point after 10 years in healthcare, I needed a change.
Uh-huh.
So people advised me against it. I did it anyway. And I enjoyed the wine business, went to Europe about 8 times.
Wow.
During that time. Yeah, I went to Austria, Germany, on work trips.
All with the idea that you needed to be there to taste the wine. Right?
Exactly. It was
you
like
had to
previewing.
go there because the wine tastes better there than getting a bottle here in Long Beach, right?
Right. We had to have product knowledge.
Oh yeah, I get it.
We had to have product knowledge to sell.
Smart girl. Good job. I love it. Okay. So, so you worked for Cedars-Sinai, and then you went and did all this wine tasting around the world. That's fantastic. Okay. So wait a minute. How do you jump from there to real estate?
Well, I had been thinking about what to do next. And one of the days that I was coming back from being in the field selling wine, I was driving home and I saw a sign and it said real estate school. So I thought I should do that, and over my Christmas break, I made my goals for the new year. And I thought I'm gonna take real estate school and I'm gonna learn, see if I could do that. Yeah.
All right. And you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And what year was that?
That was the year 2011. So we were in kind of a real estate slump still. A lot of foreclosures. We were real estate's always in the news one way or another. That's what was in the news at the time. A lot of short sales, a lot of foreclosures.
Uh-huh.
But I still, started the program in January, took my exam in May, and started in July.
And most of the business, as I recall, then you started with Action, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most of that business that they did there, they taught agents how to work with buyers, correct?
Yes.
Most of the
yes.
time. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So most of the business you were doing then was with buyers only, correct?
Yes, most of the work was buyers. I had my first buyer sale. I started in July, and my first buyer sale was in August in Compton for $160,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so in the first year or so, now where did you get the buyer leads at that time? This was in 2011, 2012.
So yeah, I was prospecting. So I was cold calling. I was knocking on doors. So I got started on the right foot by prospecting and just cold call. Oh, also calling sphere of influence.
Okay.
So we were told to write down everybody you know and call those people. Tell them that you're in real estate now. And that's how I got my first transaction.
Fantastic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So cold doors, cold phones, past client and sphere, but it wasn't really past client because you hadn't done any real estate deals at that time. Your
Right.
first 12 months, how many transactions did you do?
The first 12 months, to be honest, it was probably 6 to 10.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. And what happened the second year? So
The
that was,
second,
yeah,
yeah, the second year it got better. I think I was up to one and a half transactions per month.
okay,
And then by 2013, I got my first Centurion Award. So I had done over 20 transactions, and I always had goals. I asked my broker, do you think, if I do this next year, I can get 30 transactions? And he's like, oh yeah, you could totally do that. I did open houses as well. I would
Right.
hold open other agents' vacant listings.
okay.
I got a lot of buyer leads that way.
But basically working.
Oh yeah, working.
Okay.
So working, 5, 6, 7 days a week. Yep.
Were you role playing and previewing properties at that time?
Just a little bit, nothing
Yeah.
too
Not like you do today.
regimented.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Right.
like today, no.
Okay, so you started, so this is all buyers. We're doing 22 buyer deals. We're Centurion at the time. Centurion was what? 220,000, something like that?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was mostly buyers, but I did start getting a feeling that I need to work with sellers. So what I would do is I would be interested in buyers who are also sellers.
Oh,
So people that wanted to buy a house, but they had a condo to sell.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So you started work. So you started adding sellers to your repertoire. When did things start to really shift for you and start to, because you've been double Centurion for years, haven't you?
About 3, 4 years. Yeah.
Yes.
So things started to shift when one year, I remember it was also the first quarter. So I must have been frustrated. I was working and working these buyers, and I kept on having these canceled transactions. Like buyers would cancel, 20 days into the transaction, and I'd be throwing out all these escrow packages. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to a Mike Ferry event. And I drove all the way out to Riverside. I don't know if any of you went to that Riverside event, maybe about 6. Yes, Neil. So he said, this is the last time I'm going to be in Riverside. That's what he said. It was a great sales talk, and it was given by Mike Ferry. And he was so inspiring about that everybody in the audience could take 2 expired listings every month. He's like, there's no reason why you guys can't take 2 expireds every month. And I thought, wow. So I signed up for coaching with Sabrina outside.
You were
And
still
that was
with
kind of-
Action, correct?
Yep, I was still there.
Still with Action.
Yes. So I started Mike Ferry, and I went back with this information, and I found that the office wasn't comfortable for me anymore. Like there was too much commotion. People weren't working. They were shopping online, chit-chatting, and I was like, stop bothering me. I want to prospect, because I wanted to prospect from 9 to 12. And there were too many distractions. So I started talking to Neil at that point. And shortly after, maybe a year later, I moved to your office.
Right,
Yes.
right. And just looked in the rearview mirror for the rest of the ride.
Yeah, I've been very happy.
Well, good. We are too. It's been terrific. So so Centurion this last year is what number? 560?
I'm not sure. I don't keep track of that because Mike Ferry always says, look at the units.
Great. So talk to me about units.
Oh, okay. So now I have a little mini team. I have a partner named Priscilla. Many of you know Priscilla Romero. And Priscilla started as my admin 5 years ago and is now my partner. And she's mostly my buyer's agent, but she also takes listings. And we work together. And last year, our team did 55 transactions. And yeah, we're on track for hopefully more this year.
Got it. And how many listings did you take last year?
That's a great question. Something like between 36 and 40.
Okay, so you went from taking no listings and
Right.
only doing buyer deals as much as 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, to completely switching that out, taking 35 to 36 listings yourself, and then having team members that are helping you do transactions and get things done. You just hired a second admin person, correct?
No, I'm just in the process of
Process of
that. Yeah,
that.
I have one full-time admin, and yeah.
And looking, so what you're doing is you're anticipating to get from 55, 60 transactions. Your goal is to get to 100 transactions in the next 12 to 18 months. And to do that, you have to have a little more help. And instead of waiting until you absolutely need that person, you're being forward thinking and saying, let me get that person now, correct? Is that what you're
That's what
working
I'm
on?
thinking, yes.
No, very smart. Excellent. Good stuff. Very, very good. Okay, so where is your business coming from now? Past client and sphere as what percentage? 60%, 55?
Yeah, I would say something around 60%. Yep.
Right. And the balance of the listings that you get are coming from where?
I get a lot of listings from old door knocking leads.
Mhm.
So I've been door knocking for years, and usually I door knock around my listings and sales, talk to people, and usually they're not quite ready yet, but they would
Okay.
like to continue to hear from me. So they hear from me once a quarter. Sometimes they refer their friends to me, so they might not be ready. So, and then sometimes eventually they're ready to move.
But this is a system that you do on a regular basis. What are you using for a CRM? Basic top producers kind of stuff?
I've been using Top Producer for years. I only recently switched to Follow Up Boss.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I switched to Follow Up Boss is it allows team members to have their own database
Okay.
within the database. And I don't think that Top Producer allows for that.
Okay.
But I use a variety of things. I use MailChimp for sending out email blasts. So
Okay.
that's what you receive. And I do a lot of seminars, educational seminars where I bring guest speakers,
Right.
such as 1031 exchange experts, tax people, estate planning attorneys. A lot of people want to know more about property ownership. And that's what I kind of bring to the table.
So the clients that, and you do something like this once every 6 or 8 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, something like that, kind of irregularly, sort of beginning of the year, people are more interested in being in seminars, summer, less so.
Right. These are not first-time buyer seminars unless it's first-time investors, correct?
No, I'm not doing buyer seminars. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, good. So good to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
But these are investor types that could be a first-time investor. However, in most cases, they own their own home, right?
Right.
Okay, and then you're talking about exchanging, and you're talking about trusts and probates, I think, too.
Yes.
Right?
So estate planning, what are the benefits of, putting your property into a trust?
Okay.
And other
So
topics like that. Mhm.
Let's talk about that for just a second. So you're bringing in a few people, but how many people do you have to bring in? I ask this because I think sometimes people think they need to have 50, 80, 100 people in the room to have a good event. That's not necessarily true, is it, Nancy?
No, sometimes we get 15 people, 15 to 25, I think is normal.
Right.
And yeah, I've tried events where, for example, I got an estate sales guy to come in and talk about, what is it like to have an estate sale?
Uh-huh.
And there were hardly anybody that came, like 2 people came. So, some are flops, but that's okay. I learned from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I think the one that you and I did together on wealth building was one of the last in-person ones I did.
Right.
And,
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We had 15 or 20 people show up.
Yes.
Yeah. And 2 or 3 of them became investors or had been investors and kind of moved over. So, if you can do one per event, it's just another source of business, right?
Right. People to add to my database or people in my database to have an additional touch or something value added for them.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. Absolutely. Good stuff. Okay. So that's some of the things that you do. So you door knock, you phone canvas, you work the angles, so to speak. Condos are a big part of your business because there's a lot of condos in your marketplace. Is that true?
Yeah. There's a good number of condos in our area, and a lot of people move from condos to houses. And we also have a lot of buyers from LA that want oceanfront condos in Long Beach.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can get yourself a pretty nice condominium with a pretty spectacular view in Long Beach, right on the water,
Yes.
for not what I think is a ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's very cool. Okay, so we have a question from one of our associates. Where do you hold your events, and do you do them during the week or on weekends?
That's a great question. So prior to COVID, we would hold them in the Century 21 Masters local office conference room. So we would hold them in person, book a conference room, and usually do it on, I like Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock because it's early enough that people can still have the rest of their day and it's not, it's just a good time. Okay. So Saturday morning, but since the last couple of years, we've been doing them on Zoom.
Got it.
Yeah.
And we just moved to another building, so we don't have the same kind of conference room there.
Right.
But if you needed, I think people can rent a conference room in a lot of these large buildings. I don't know if you can do it on a Saturday. We'd have to check on that. But the building we were in had a really nice sized conference room. Where else so you're doing it Zoom still now? Are people comfortable with that?
Yeah, people are pretty comfortable because they don't have to go find parking. They don't have to worry about driving over and being late. Okay. It's actually easier. Yep.
Okay, so you're still getting 15, 20 people, 10 people to show up to those kind of events?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I advertise it through my blog and the email blasts.
Okay, how big's your database? I mean, you said you've been doing a lot of door knocking for a long time.
Yes.
How big is your past client and sphere base now?
The database is now over 800 people.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Excellent. And of the 50 transactions you did last year, what percentage of the 50 do you think, or how many was past client and sphere, directly or indirectly?
I think probably between 60 and 70%.
So if you had 50 people, you had 35 to 40 deals came from past client and sphere?
Yes.
That's pretty darn good. So you're running, we talk about 5%, we talk about 10%, and you're running a solid 5% right now. So good job. Congratulations, because most people don't get to the 10%, but a lot of people don't even get to the 5%. You're doing a great job with it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How often do you contact them? Do you contact them how often do you contact them?
Usually at least once a quarter. It might be even more.
Okay.
Yep. So right. The last 2 years, most of our business was from past client and sphere. And when I say I mean, I feel most real estate agents, because we weren't at parties, we weren't door knocking as much. Right. During the pandemic. So people were talking to past client and sphere more and getting more business opportunities that way. So I think I was talking to them even more than 4 times a year.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So what's your superpower, Nancy?
That's a great question. I don't know if I have one superpower, but some small powers that I have are I like to do things. So I have a plan in the morning and I like to execute that plan.
Okay, good.
So I like to get things checked off my list and done. I don't want to just think about it or put it off. So I'm not a procrastinator. I like to get it done today. And otherwise, I'm about a 70 to 80% on discipline. I know there's people more disciplined than I am, but I feel like discipline is one of my qualities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are maybe a few people that are more disciplined. Most of the world, Nancy, has no discipline compared to yours.
Thank you.
No, absolutely. Very, very cool. Okay, so let's open it up a little bit here. Robert says resiliency is one of your superpowers.
Thank you. Yes, I might have a bad day or a bad hour, but then I'm back at it.
You are definitely back at it. Good job. Okay, so let's open it up for some questions. First of all, good job. Abigail, did you have your hand up, please?
Hi, Nancy. It's so nice to hear your voice. I don't know if most of you know, but because of Nancy, I'm here with Neil. She was the one that introduced me to Neil, so I'm quite happy. The first question that I have is, how many contacts do you do per day? And the second question is, what is your schedule like?
Great question. So my daily contact goal is 30. So that means I need to get 150 for the week and 600 for the month. So that's my goal. I've been achieving my goal January, February, and March. So I'm really happy about this quarter. Last year I was kind of up and down. So some months I achieved that and others I took more breaks. And then you asked about my schedule. Okay, my schedule is I get up around 5:30 to 6. And then I role play from 7:30 to 8. I belong to a role play group. So we role play at that time. And then from 8 to 12 is my prospecting time. So during that time, 8 to 9 is pretty focused because I feel that's a great time when people aren't quite at work or too busy. So I get a lot of people, at least 10 contacts between 8 and 9. And then I'm prospecting after a little break from 9 to 10. At 10 o'clock, I take usually a mindset break that's longer, like a walk for 30 minutes. And then I'm back to prospecting 10:30 to, almost 12. I might take a few admin type calls between 11:30 and 12 because people are starting to need answers to their questions, that sort of thing. So afternoon, I am out in the field. Neil had guest Mr. Malik, the coach from Hawaii, on several weeks ago. Yeah, he mentioned kind of in-house in the morning and out of the house in the afternoon. So that's my policy. I want to see the people in the afternoon. So either appointments or just knocking on doors. I want to be in front of people or previewing property. That's what I'm doing from 1 to 5. That's it.
Fantastic. Very, very cool. So just to clarify, Nancy's team did just under $800,000 in GCI for those of you that are bean counters. So congratulations, Nance. It was really a great year. And has already closed $160,000 so far this year. So, and Nancy, as I recall, was not real happy with herself in January, I think first part of February. She can beat herself up pretty well, and she did. And then just came back at it and had a goal. Was it 10 listings in? Tell me exactly what the goal was.
I had a goal of taking 10 listings in March. So we've taken 7.
Okay. And there's the rest of today.
Right. Exactly. 3 more to go.
Exactly. Good
Yeah.
for you. Congratulations. Good job. And I think when you said you were going to take the 10 in March, we were already in the 4th or 5th of March.
Yeah, there were several that I was working on.
Right.
So sometimes I don't get the listing at the first listing appointment. I have to go to the second listing appointment and the third listing appointment because people still need to think about it or talk to their lawyer or talk to their accountant. So I had some that were lined up that I felt would sign in March.
Fantastic. Great job. All right. Other questions of Nancy, please? Other questions of Nancy? Raise your hand or just.
There was a question, Neil, in the chat box that says, what lead sources do you work?
Got it. Nance?
Yes, I work probates. I work door knocking. And I work just listed, just sold calls. So if I have a listing, if I get a listing, I ask my assistant to set up the 0.5 mile radius for me to call so that I can use the script and say, hey, I just listed your neighbor's house on Brayton Avenue. It's 3-bedroom, 2-bath for 1.1 million. Who do you know wants to move to your neighborhood? So those are some calls. I haven't been that great about working expireds, but lately I am working FSBOs and database.
All right. Good stuff. Questions for Nancy, please.
I do.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, Denise.
Hi, Nancy. Quick question. I know that your big return is your past clients. Is there anything in particular that you do to keep, besides calling them, to keep like in front of them? Like, is there anything, some people like, I don't know, they send out mailers or they send out like birthday cards and stuff like that. Is there something in particular that you do?
Yes, that's a great question. I am not that great with mailers. So I do some mailers, but I try to stay on my email blasts. So emails are free, or pretty much almost free. And I do blog posts on my website, which then becomes an email blast. So they might be just listed properties, they might be market stats that I'm sharing, but usually I get an email or several emails back saying, great post, thank you. And what do you think about X? So there's some interaction from my database from those emails. And other than that, I am calling them, trying to give something of value when I call and check in with people. What else do I do? I send out Christmas cards. I do some closing gifts. So those are some things that I do. I send out property to people if I know that might be of interest to them, let them know that their neighbor has listed a home for sale. Maybe they know somebody.
Stay in touch, right, Nance?
Yes, staying in touch with them.
Staying in touch.
And they appreciate that.
Good. All right. Good question. Thank you. Thanks, Nancy. Dave asked, what's the source of your phone numbers for working the just listed calls around some of your listings? Are you using Arch? Do you use Vulcan? How do you?
I use Arch.
Use Arch?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And you're happy with the return,
Yep, I'm pretty happy with Arch. The numbers are really accurate. You get a lot of voicemails or people that don't pick up, but they're the correct number. Their cell phones. Right. Yes, right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So yeah,
that's great. Good, excellent, good. Other questions of Nancy? Okay, I have one.
I have one.
Okay.
Okay, well, I will defer. The floor defers to Robert.
No. You were first. You were first.
Yes, but yours is probably better and more important.
That's probably not true. Okay, so I'll ask anyways. So Nancy, as Neil said, you do beat yourself up pretty good. Like you hold yourself to a high accountability. Everyone has days where things don't go well. How do you overcome that to say, you know what, this sucks, but an hour went by, a minute went by, and I'm back at it? How do you overcome it?
That's such a great question because that was yesterday for me. So I was dealing with something at 8 p.m. last night. And I didn't want to work at 8 p.m. last night, but I had to deal with it. And I got short-tempered and I just plow through what I need to do. Okay, so something that I remember people saying is that we're being paid for the difficult conversations. So some conversations are great, like, hey, congratulations, we funded. And other conversations are not so great. But we are being paid to have those conversations and to have them in a timely fashion, not let it fester, not let it get worse by avoiding. I like to deal with it. So I just like to have the conversation and try to solve the problem and move forward. And once it's solved, the pressure is off and we can get back to normal. I hope that answers your question.
No, I think that
Absolutely.
that it does. Great job. Excellent. So Nancy, you're slugging it out in the market, in the Southern California market every day, just like everybody else. You're frustrated like everybody else. You're happy like everybody else. You have your ups, you have your downs, et cetera, et cetera. You're dealing with commission cutting. You're dealing with everything that everybody's dealing with. All right.
Right.
So what advice would you give a newer agent who's running into all that same stuff? What advice could you give them to help them get through a day, a week, a month that you could come up with, let's say?
Well, I give this advice, but then sometimes I don't think it means anything to people. I say, go after listings.
Oh,
Okay. So usually I sense when some of my colleagues call me up and they say, hey, Nancy, you're doing so great. Can you help me? This market's so tough. And they're working with 100% buyers.
Right.
So of course it's frustrating because you're working with 100% buyers. And I don't even think there's anything wrong with buyers. I love buyers. Buyers are fantastic. I work with buyers. But to work 100% buyers is very frustrating. And that's what I experienced when I was throwing those packages of escrow packages away, canceled escrows 6 or 7 years ago, and I joined Mike Ferry, was that I knew that it was not sustainable for me to continue working 100% buyers. That I had to take listings and then work buyers. I have some listings and I work buyers. Even if you do 50-50, you're going to have more sanity than trying to put in offers and competing with 20 offers every day. So, okay, so I'm belaboring this point, like Mike Ferry belabors the point. So go after listings, which is difficult, but how do you get listings? You have to prospect, and you have to prospect every day. And you have to prospect at least 30 contacts a day because it's a numbers game.
So you have to preview property. You have to do role play. You're on the role play almost every day, I think, aren't you, in the group? Our
Yes.
group?
Yes.
You role play 2 groups, right?
I just role play one group at 7:30.
Okay.
And so role play increases the skills and the prospecting, it comes, and you have to be okay with the rejection, but keep looking for sellers.
Got it. And then you get on and do some prospecting on our open mic with us sometimes?
Yes,
Got
I do
got
that.
it. Does the open mic help you?
Immensely. Yeah.
How does the open mic help you?
The open mic is like any other great commitment where you're around like-minded individuals and you've already committed, so you have to do it whether you feel like it or not.
Okay.
And then once you get on, it's like joining a running group or a cycling group. You have like-minded individuals and you're all going to do it together and you've committed, so you might as well do it. And then it just becomes a habit and then you start to like it and then the results come.
And that's kind of our story. You came on board and 5-6 years ago, got into the system. Was the support there that you needed on a regular basis to convert you from being a top buyer's agent to a top selling agent?
Absolutely.
Agent? Okay.
Yes.
Good. Excellent. All right.
Neil,
Good.
I have a question for Nancy,
Please,
if you don't
Jason.
mind.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I'm running into this situation more than I would like to, and I feel out of my comfort zone. So I'm going to ask, when you're cold calling, or maybe even you're calling your SOI or just listed, just sold, people say, I'm going to sell probably in June, May or June. You know, why don't you try and call out to me again in 6 weeks? I mean, I feel very precarious in that situation. I feel when I call them in 6 weeks, it'll already be listed.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
so what's the game plan?
So here's my game plan, and it involves an objection handler. So I say, great. So Jason, whether you decide to sell now or in 6 weeks or in 6 months from now, wouldn't it be great to know exactly what it's going to take to get your home sold?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that's the logical answer, right?
Right.
So great.
why don't we-
Let's get together. I'm available this coming Monday or Tuesday afternoon. Which day works better for you?
I love it.
Yeah, so the objection handler is, hey, whether you sell now or in 6 weeks or 6 months, wouldn't it be great to know exactly what it's going to take to get your home sold? Well, sure. So I go and I see the people because I don't want to be in the office in the afternoon. I want to get in front of sellers. And I want to be their agent. Because if I can see them, then I'm their agent. And then in 6 weeks or in 3 weeks, because we're supposed to lead follow up in half the time they tell us to, we call them again. Hey, you know, I just sold XYZ's house. Guess what they got? 885,000. Isn't that exciting? And then, hey, would you like me to come out? I'm going to be in your area. Then you're seeing them so often that you're default by their agent. And in fact, when you take the listing, you might even just be sending out the DocuSign because you've already seen the house. They've already met you. They know you're a professional.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then of the times that you do have to wait to follow up with these people, if you weren't successful in securing an appointment there, how often, at what percentage do you actually get back in touch with them?
What percentage?
I mean, like if they blow you off for a month or 2 months, how often do you get back in there and?
I don't know the percentage, but I have 1 million of these books. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can a little bit. Yeah.
Spiral notebooks from
Yes.
Staples. And I write down who I prospect and I put stars next to the people I should lead follow up. And I highlight them and I take all this information and I go through these books and I just do massive lead follow up. You know, hey, we just talked in February, just following up. You had some interest in selling your house. I'm not, ready because blah, blah, blah. Talk more.
Normal lead. Yeah, normal lead follow up.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So,
Okay, cool.
So wait a second, Nancy. You mean you don't have it in a computer and it pops up for you to make a call every day? You're doing this. How are you doing the lead follow-up? Are you really taking the book, this and turning the page and looking for Johnny and Joseph?
Yes. These are the books I take when I'm door knocking. Spiral bound notebook, when I'm cold calling, and then I take another book. I have tons of books. I also input them into Follow Up Boss, but I don't use their pop-up systems because that's just, I'd
Just
rather
doesn't
use
work.
the books. Yeah,
Doesn't
I'd rather
work for
make
you.
notes. Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks, Nancy. I'm gonna step out for a call. Great session.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. He's got to go
Yeah.
buy a book.
I like that, Nancy, because it is hard to go back to your CRM system and find out which ones you called you need to follow up on. And I'm the same way. I have notebooks all over, but it's kind of like trying to go through the system. So thank you for that. That's a big eye opener.
All right. Very good. Fantastic. I love it. Good stuff. All right. Other questions of Nancy, please.
This is Shasha. Thank you, Nancy. I wanted to ask you, you say in the afternoon you go out there. Specifically, do you have the lead to go out there, or you just like door knocking, like cold door, or is expired door knocking, or for subway owner door knocking?
So my primary goal in the morning is to book appointments for the afternoons. So the ideal is for me to go on appointments. The second ideal is to go on a visit. So that means they don't want to list, but you can come and see the house. So it's like a listing appointment light. And then if I have none of those, then I'm going to knock on doors. Okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question, Shasha. That's great. Excellent. Good. Any other questions for Nancy?
Yes, I would
Go
love
ahead,
to ask
Christina.
a quick
Absolutely.
question. How would you initially approach the probate? Do you call them? Do you send letters?
I don't send letters. I call them. So I call them. Okay. Do you want me to do a role play with you?
Sure.
Okay. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hello. I'm looking for Christina.
Yes, this is her.
Hi, Christina. I'm Nancy with Century 21. And the reason I'm calling is I had a lot of probate and trust sales in Orange County. I'm just calling to see, are you handling the estate for John Doe?
Actually, I am. I'm the
You
executor.
are. Okay, you're the executor. Great. Reason I'm calling is just wanted to see, do you have any real estate you need to sell or prepare for sale in order to settle this estate?
Yes, we do.
You do. And then, just go on like a regular call. But those are the first things I say, that I specialize in probate and trust sales.
And when they tell you, well, I think we're going to just hire some local agent, or maybe one of the family members want to keep the property, what do you say?
I just say, okay, those are some great options. Would you like any assistance at all, and see what our team can share and do for you, from cleaning out the property to preparing it for the market to getting you an offer if you need one off market?
Great. Okay.
Yeah, just some other options.
But you always want to be in touch with the executive of the trust, right?
Right. Yes.
All right. Good stuff. Nancy, this has been great. We really appreciate it. Let's unmute ourselves. Let's go. Woo! All right. Good job, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Nancy.
Thank
Good
you, Nancy.
job.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Nancy.
You're the best, Nancy.
Thank you.
I love it. I love
Did
it.
you say Luis, Robert?
Yes, you too.
Okay, so please, okay, we put Nancy, we put your name and contact information in the chat box. We had about 75 or 80 agents on here today. That was really cool. Yeah, so good job. Excellent. What we're going to do right now, you're welcome to hang out, or if you've got a hard stop, we certainly understand that. We're going to go around the room and just figure out what we learned, ask everybody to share what they learned today from the great Nancy Deprez. Thank you. This is a big deal. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so talk to me. What we learned today?
You got to get in front of people.
You go, Mark. Good job. We got to get in front of people. We are in the people business. Armin, go ahead.
I think that we get as much out of her prospecting at 11 as she gets out of it. So thank you, Nancy. I get quite a bit out of when I listen to you. I try to make it a point to be here at 11 to 11:30.
Good job. Excellent. We're talking about open mic, right, Armin? Right. Good. Excellent. Okay.
Another thing we learned is that you need multiple sources of business.
Correct. Multiple sources of business. Good. Great point, Jason. Okay. What else? Go ahead, Gustavo.
Anil, I think her concentration level when she on the phone, it is amazing. She just goes like, I never see anything like this. So congratulations to her. Amazing.
Yeah. It's great focus. She's
on
there.
the phone.
She's there to set an appointment.
Yeah.
She's there to get a lead. Go ahead, Christina.
I think even that sometimes she goes back to basics on her systems is what that works. So just do it, right?
Just do it. In the morning on the phones, in the afternoon in the field. Wow. What a
Writing
concept.
on notebooks works too.
Yeah, writing on notebooks and not worried about which CMR I'm going to use.
CRM.
CRM. You can't even say it anymore. All right, good stuff. Thank you.
I'll
Go
say
ahead,
something
Tess.
to
Go
you.
ahead, please.
Nancy, congratulations. You are the best. With the way I think that Nancy drives her business, she works the old-fashioned way, but really finds a way to really how to make it work. And I have to say, you are a great door knocker. I mean, I don't know how she does it. I'm one that, I like door knocking, but I also, this lady works very hard on doing the door knocking. Congratulations, that's really good. And that old-fashioned way of writing it in a book, and really, I do that too. I know Neil always pounds me on that. See, I'm a visual person. I like where I can see it and highlight and put stars in it. Exactly. And then my book would say the year too, because I want to make sure that the books are separated 2021, 2022, so that I will remember. That is great. And it really works. Congratulations, Nancy.
Great job, Tess. It's quite what I call, Nancy, resurrecting the dead with
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed, I never met her until now, is she's very classy, very elegant. The way she talks is very educated. You can see that she's very appropriate and very settled. So I think she's a great person to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Good
I
stuff.
wanna-
Great.
Yeah.
Armin, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, Nancy, I noticed sometimes when you're calling that you'll tell somebody, I met you at an open house 2 years ago. In those 2 years, have you called them in between, or did you just happen to pick up one of your notebooks and it was 2 years ago that you happened to notice them?
Sometimes I don't remember them. Sometimes, yeah, if I say that, I probably don't remember them. And I just want to either delete the number from my phone, or I want to resurrect them and put them in my database. That's what I'm doing there.
Very cool. And your sources, because I know you got 2 or 3, how many sources do you have that you get your business from besides the majority of your past clients?
Just those ones like door knocking, cold calling, just listed, just sold, and also sign calls. I mean, people calling on our listings.
Any expireds, or do you call any absentee owners or anything like that?
Not specifically, no.
No, Nancy and I discussed her coming off of expireds. Oh my gosh, 6 months ago now? Something like that. And they're just crazy to chase. And they're no fun and they're mean. So, Denise, go ahead.
3 things that really stood out to me was the fact that she's always reflecting, right, the environment. She recognized that she was being distracted and that she needed to take herself out of that situation and put herself to where she's not distracted so she can reach her goals. She's very coachable, and anything that she learns, she adapts to. which is incredible. And just being intentional. I love the fact that you say you do your calls because you're in the afternoon, you're setting up appointments. If you're not setting appointments, you're visiting. If not, then you know that you're automatically door knocking. So it's kind of like you already have that system in place. So those are definitely, and then the whole notebook thing, not worrying about how it's going to look. It's just whatever is easier for you is what you're doing besides what everybody else is doing.
Oh, absolutely. Good stuff, Denise. Thank you.
I have a question for Nancy regarding the door. So I know that Nancy usually stays within her neighborhood so far. So what happens when you have a further out area? Do you
Like
actually
Fontana?
really door knock that? Like Fontana, maybe?
Like
I'm just kidding.
Fontana?
Right?
And Moreno Valley.
God.
You could refer them out, Tess. That's what I've been doing lately.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I did some door knocking around a listing I had in Fountain Valley.
My God. Okay.
So, but
That's
if
fine.
it's further than that, then I probably won't go out there. I'm not going to go to Riverside and door knock around.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Probably around my city where I work.
Good.
Mhm.
You're very coachable with Neil. That's what Neil says.
Yeah. Right. Everybody listens to Neil.
No, I think I'm okay. Thank you so much.
It's selective listening is what
Uh-huh.
it is. Robert, you had something you wanted to share?
Sure. So Nancy, thank you. I know I get the privilege of working with Nancy and Priscilla, and yet I'm always so excited to hear Nancy talk, even though I already know so much because I always learn so much. And I was going to say coachable, but that got brought up. She's extremely coachable. Priscilla's extremely coachable. What I wrote down for Nancy is Nancy's a businesswoman. And, Mike talks about all the time the difference between a real estate agent and a business person. And Nancy is that definition. She doesn't run a real estate operation. She runs a business. She's always dressed like she's running a business. She's always dressed very professional. Her conversations are always very professional. She has a plan for everything. She has a goal for everything. She has a system for everything. She has a structure for everything. She runs a business. She's a businesswoman. She knows her profit. She knows her losses. It's that, I think, above all else, is one of the big differences between her and everyone else is she's a businesswoman. She runs a business. And it's really impressive to see her do that every day.
Good. Great point, Robert. Thank you. All right. Unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. Let's give her a big hand. Nancy, again, thank you. Woo!
Great job, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Great job. Excellent.
Very,
Thank you.
very good stuff. All right, everyone.
Thank
So we are going to, let's see, Robert, who do
We
we
got
have?
Dave, Rosalinda, Jason, Denise, Anna, 3:30. I got a class on things that separate you from other real estate agents.
I like that.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Again, Nancy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right.
Dave,
Okay,
whenever you're
everybody.
ready, floor is yours.
Go, Dave, go.
All right.
There's going to be a big run on these spiral notebooks. I'm not going to be able to find them. It's Sprinkles this day, or Staples. All right.
Well, Neil, what we should do is we should go buy them in bulk and then resell them for a higher amount. What do you think? We're gonna flip spiral notebooks.
Yeah, they're going to use them for a day.
By the way, at back to school time, you can get them for 32 cents a piece. You have to buy 30, but big
Wow.
savings.
Wow. There you go. Love your analyticals, Dave. I really do.
Get off my line, you guys.
Can I add in something with the follow-up system thing? I
Sure.
find it's helpful. Like I learned, I think it was from Mike from one of their podcasts a long time ago, but if you go with a 1 to 12 folder, right, representing month January to December, and then have another one from like a accordion file from 1 to 31. You write your notes on the piece of paper, like a lead sheet, right? And then you just stick in that. It's not in a computer, and you carry that file with you. So if on certain day you just take that file out, that's what you need. And then in a month, you take that month out and you do your follow-up. So another system, I guess.
No, that's, look, if that's working for you, man, go for it. Make it happen, you guys. Make it happen. Okay, let's rock and roll, everybody.